Hi, this is Pat McDonald, your host for Vote for Vermont, where our tagline is Listening Beyond the Soundbites. Joining me today is Maryse Dunbar, who is a Republican and running for the House of Representatives in Chittenden 8-1?
Yes.
And what is that comprised of?
Essex Town.
Essex Town.
Just
Essex Town. Oh,
yes.
Interesting. And next year, you're going to have, well, I guess you already do, because the Burlington will be split up, right? That they won't have the 6 senators anymore. They'll be split up so that they'll have.
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's.
Although this year we're very fortunate on the Republican side to have a full slate of 6 senators running for the senatorial Republican
for you guys.
office.
Excellent. That's good, because that's a cabal that needs to be. Needs to be broken up, because there's a lot of resentment in the State House that there's 6. I guess either side, depending on where you are, but it's just 6 people that's a big block in the Senate.
It is.
Yeah, but anyway.
It is.
So would you like to introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Sure. Well, my name is Maryse Dunbar, and I've lived in Essex for approximately 44 years, and it's been a great community. I've enjoyed being with my husband and raising my daughter through the schools. The schools have been wonderful. My background is nursing. I worked as a registered nurse at the local hospital and in Atlanta, Georgia, and I've traveled overseas working with
That's okay, keep going.
I've worked with impoverished people in Africa and other nations, and then I've returned to volunteer with the homeless locally, and I owned and operated a business for 28 years, a small business in Essex, and it's been a wonderful many years in the village and the town of Essex.
That's nice. Yeah, that's great. It's great. So what is your business that you've run? You said you ran a business.
Well, it's electrolysis.
Oh,
it's
kidding.
a personal business.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
I've never done that. I keep going by signs going, maybe I should do that.
Well,
so have you settled on some key priorities that you'd like to see happen in our State House and what you're talking to your constituents about?
Yes, there are some key priorities.
Just a few.
Too many.
Right.
I am very concerned about the crisis debt that Vermont is in. We have to do something. Now, a lot of people really, in going door to door, I have found that many people just really have not kept up with the current issues. And many don't realize that we've been top heavy with Democrats for over 30 years.
Right.
And the vote comes from one party. So it's time to get some Republicans in there. We really want to work on the budget together. My issue is teamwork. I believe in teamwork, working together to come up with a solution. And, the Republicans would like to work on a way to balance. Balancing will be difficult because we will be in debt for many years. There's no 2 ways around that. However, the Republicans want to keep us afloat, basically.
Right, right. Well, that's great. That's a lofty goal,
Yes.
because we have many liabilities. People talk about the pension, which is 4.5, but we've got school debt, and we have Lake Champlain, which if we don't fix that, the EPA is going to come in and fix it for us and then plunk the invoice on the governor's desk.
That's right.
And we've got to get that fixed for sure.
That's right.
But that pension thing is, and it's really everybody's fault. It's been the last 10 years, no matter who's been in power.
Yes.
So, but we used to compromise for years.
We used to.
Yes, we used to.
And then I'm very concerned about bringing businesses to help support Vermonters, making it business and family friendly, so that people can live the nice, independent lives that we're accustomed to in Vermont.
Right.
And then I know a lot of people who have biracial children, and I hear constantly about the bullying in schools, and that comes from somewhere. So I look at this as a whole new educational opportunity.
That's great.
And people know better, but there has to be some sort of fresh education to help other people understand that bullying and being nasty is not acceptable.
Right, that's right. Well, I think it somewhat starts at home,
Yes.
doesn't it? With
Yes.
parents actually teaching their kids about to have respect for others and other kids. But kids can be, I think, pretty cruel if they so chose.
It seems to be that
especially
way.
if you are a little different,
Yes.
whether you're disabled or a minority or something. They have to learn
It's
to
true.
respect everybody.
It just makes the children so sad,
Yeah.
you know. Life is already difficult enough. So to make some children feel better by calling other children nasty names, you know, this is unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think we still do have the highest rate of teen suicides in the United States. That's a great record, isn't it?
It's terrible.
I mean, isn't that incredible?
It's terrible.
It's really sad. So anyway, we were talking before the show about what you might hope to accomplish in your first year, but also what committee you might like to pursue. So.
Well, perhaps because of my nursing background, I should look towards being in the health committee.
Health committee, that's good.
I'd like to be in the educational committee, but, you know, I'll look around when I get there. And I'm saying when I get there, because I believe the voters are smart and see that it's time to allow some Republicans into office.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they'll give you two choices, and then they'll decide either one of them or something else.
Yes.
But the health committees, I don't know, haven't heard much in the last couple of years about what the Green Mountain Care Board is doing, but I'm hoping they're doing something about the costs. But you've got the opioid crisis, you've got mental health crisis. There's a lot of stuff happening in the health committees.
There really are. Yeah. And maybe this is the place to put the plug in about legalizing marijuana.
Oh,
I know that's a hot button issue and there's so much disagreement, but the bottom line for me is, the way I see it is that in Colorado and Maine, the tax windfalls have not amounted to cover the costs of mental health resulting from usage and from accidents. And why add one problem on top of another? You know, why add another problem? There are so many problems out there already. Why do this on purpose?
Well, they've sort of approved it, but just for home use, and now they want to make it commercialized, so to bring in bazillion dollars, but it doesn't, as you said, it just doesn't happen that way.
That's right. It is legal to a point with a lot of regulations, but they want to make it fully open, fully legal, purchase anywhere, however, whatever.
Have smoking rooms. That's what I like, when you walk down the street next to the smoking room.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you said you were actually out shaking hands. Good for you. Are people?
Well, I don't shake hands.
Well, I'm sorry. I mean, you were doing knocking on the door.
I do go door to door.
Yep. Great. Good for you.
And I put my mask on, of course. I can't walk out in the fresh air and still breathe house to house.
Right.
You know, so I put my mask back on before each door, and then I knock, and then I step back.
Good.
So I have this is the best part of campaigning. I've just so enjoyed talking with all the wonderful people that are out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and they expect it.
Yes.
I mean, if in my town, if you don't knock on every door, they wonder where you've been. And the woman way before me, when she got around twice, I still to this day cannot figure out how she did that. But she knocked on their doors twice.
I'm trying so hard, but I don't think I can make it to even every house once.
Well, it's very dense where you live. You have a lot of people.
Oh, so many condos and apartment buildings and, you know, multiple places. So it really is difficult, but I'm doing my best.
Oh, good. Well, then they know. They'll talk about seeing you, so the word will get out that you've been around.
Yes.
What else have you been doing? Facebook and...
I'm doing Facebook, yes. I'm sending out flyers to every home.
Oh, good.
And as we just discussed, trying to bring my flyers myself to individual homes. I have, you know, in this day and age, you have to bring identification because people are afraid almost to answer their doors.
Right, for sure.
So I show them my card, and and then, of course, I'm not a young person, so but I'm not that old yet. But people can see that I'm not anyone to be afraid of.
Right. Well, but you're right about that, opening the door these days.
Yes.
So you talked a little bit about the revenue and where we're at. When you get there in January 2022, you'll be faced with a serious deficit. This year, not so bad, because they've taken some money from last year to hold over to this year.
Yes.
So we'll balance our budget, but next year, there's going to have to be some big decisions made, and I don't know if you've thought about what you're willing to talk about and where you're willing to cut, or on the other side, to bring revenue in.
Well, first of all, I was going to say this Global Warming Initiative Act, that definitely should not be allowed, because that would cost taxpayers $90 million.
Right.
And, but beyond that, so backtracking, it looks as though it may not pass completely anyway.
Well, I don't know if he's got the votes for the support, but the governor's going to veto it. I just read an article that said he's sending out signals, but
I hope he will veto it. But beyond that, I really think that we ought to take another look at Act 250, because the regulations are so stiff that business owners come to Vermont and then or to investigate, and then they look at the regulations and they leave.
Right.
So we have to work on that. There are some areas which can be cut. I don't want to step on any toes here, but, and people will maybe disagree with me, but there are some suites down the street from where I live, and for a year now, the state has been paying for these homeless people to stay in the suites. And, you know, there's no reason why they couldn't go back outside come summer. Right. But they've been there all summer, and they're not protecting each other from COVID. There's a nice little gazebo out there, and they all conglomerate and go out together and fellowship and smoke and whatever. And, you know, I don't see any need to spend money on this when it's summertime.
Well, I think they're hoping to get these people not outside, but to work and get them independent.
They're hoping.
Yeah. So there's a motel near me that's been converted, and that's the owners converted to the state. So I think it's all over the city, all over the state of motels that have converted.
Now, there are some truly needy people.
Yeah.
But having worked with the homeless, I know also that there are many that prefer their bad habits. Let's just leave it at that. Their bad habits over having a responsible life for themselves.
Are they dealing, you think, with mental health issues, those people, or it's just their approach to the life?
There are a lot of mental health issues, and a lot of people that are incapable of actually getting their lives together, either through physical or mental illness. But then some people say that alcoholism is an illness also, but I don't want to go there. You know, it's a choice. I've seen too many people stand in front of their tent, hold a bottle and a cigarette in each hand and say, it doesn't get any better than this.
There you go. Well, it's a lifestyle that I don't know if they've chosen it, but they've certainly feel comfortable with it, I guess.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. What kind of work do you do with them, the homeless?
Well, I volunteered. You know, I would bring food, I would bring supplies. Yeah. Many of the younger people that would come to Vermont, the transients, would travel state to state, and we would try to befriend them and help them figure out their lives. But they would leave for the winter, and then we were left with the diehards. And that's when we would bring, you know, different supplies. I must say cots and the Salvation Army provide meals and so on.
Yeah, they do a good job. We have a shelter in our town that if there's an emergency of sorts, we have an ability to put it together real quick and help people when there's a big issue like flooding or something. So the governor has said that the economy is not coming back as quickly as he had hoped, and which I was a little surprised at. But so what would you like to see happen?
Well, I guess I'm not surprised with all the business closures with COVID. we really have to, once again, make the state business friendly.
Right.
Look at areas where we can cut expenses, and there are some areas. This global warming initiative really should be cut. There are just many areas, and I don't know them all, but we need to look at what is being unnecessarily spent and just cut it for the time being. Everyone needs to understand that we're not going to survive, and that is a big concern for me. We will, and one of the big reasons why I'm campaigning, because unless we get back to common sense values, we won't make it.
Right.
You know, I don't like this move towards progressivism. It's not the lifestyle that we're accustomed to, and it's not life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Can't argue with you there. I find it interesting that people, some of the decisions that they've made in the State House of late have been just making my head shake.
It's frightening.
Yeah, it is. And it's hard to make an argument because they're just, that's it. They're going down that road and that's it.
I'll be honest, it feels as though they hate their own state.
Well, they want it to be much different than it is now. Much different. Right? And the old days of hard work and, you know, and helping. The CAP agency has a thing, it says you give a person a hand up, not a hand out. And I think we've sort of lost a little bit of that. We're making people dependent on us, and that's not a good thing for them or for the state.
It isn't.
No. And I don't. And they should be able to get a job, feed their families, and feel good about themselves that they've accomplished something.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, it's very sad. Which brings me to the ethics question. I don't know if you've been watching that, but Campaign for Vermont, which is partners with us, they have fought for years to get an ethics bill with some teeth into the legislature, and they finally got something last year, but it was pretty weak, and we're working really hard. Larry Nevins is the is the executive director for the Ethics Commission, and he submitted a list, I think 10 ideas of what the bill should contain. So what do you think about ethics in Vermont? And this would be for the legislature, for state government, that people, if they see something wrong, could come to this committee and submit a claim or something that with being anonymous, that they wouldn't share their name, that it's just a complaint.
Well, I'm all for that, because it seems as though in recent years the people that dare to step out all over the country are being penalized or lose their jobs, or something horrible happens to them. I think it's really important that if you see something that's wrong, that it should be reported. You know, I'm all for integrity. I consider myself to be very honest, and I seriously want to work hard for my voters. I want to do what I say I will do, and I think it's really important that if someone says something or sees something that's incorrect, it should be reported. And I don't know if necessarily anonymously is the right thing, although maybe that is the answer. I don't know. I'm not sure how things happen in the State House, because I've never been there as a legislator. But
well, it's hard to keep secrets in the State House, I might say that. It's a very small group of people. It maybe seems intimidating when you're a citizen and you come up, but it's all, not everybody knows everybody. But there's conflicts. People have stocks in certain certain firms that here we're voting on what would make them successful or not, or they may have a tie with a certain company, and they shouldn't be voting on a bill that has a direct impact on where they work, and that's just to be, it should be a no.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Just because someone gives someone else, a legislator or a legislative group, extra money or extra influence somewhere, it's wrong to take that. You know, I've also heard a horror story where if someone in their own party didn't vote a certain way, then they were penalized.
Oh, well, that's true.
Yeah. So
That is true.
that has to come to an
Yeah,
end.
that's true. You have to be able to vote your conscience.
Absolutely.
And there are one or two people that actually do that, and they don't care if they get into trouble. They just do what they think is right. So anyway, I'm glad that you support the ethics. I wanted to talk, there's a thing going on in Essex Junction, Essex Town, about 3+3.
Yes.
Could you explain that to us?
Well, it's a different issue from the merger. The 3+3 issue is where, for years, and most people know that this merger thing issue has been going on for years,
Right.
but it has come up on the table again and probably will be on the November ballot.
Oh.
Yeah. So
That's
forever, Essex Village has had 3 votes, and Essex Town has had only about 2 votes. Not about, only 2 votes. And now the population is relatively about the same. And so, of course, the town wants to have an equal vote.
For sure.
So I am definitely for it. I believe we need to have an equal vote, and
Right.
that is my bottom line.
Right.
The merger is another issue, and I've spoken with a lot of people about it, and I haven't come to a conclusion yet. My understanding is that overall, if we do merge, the taxes will go up for both towns,
Right.
both the village and the town. So I'm swaying right now.
Why are they saying they'll go up? I
Well,
mean,
they
why
shouldn't,
do
should they?
They shouldn't. Where, as a matter of fact, I would say if you have, you should be less, because you're going to be helping each other out on issues, and or having less people in the administration, or
Well, that was the idea.
Right.
Everyone is saying we shouldn't have double of everything.
right. Sorry, that's rather obvious, but
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But again, this is my understanding. Now, for anyone listening, I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
I understand that the village owes a lot of money that the town does not owe. So then there's, to offset that, there's been some sort of a 12-year plan where
Right.
they pay off their debt. But this I don't understand. For some reason, at the end of those 12 years, everyone's taxes will go up. So this is where I need to...
that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
If you could do with the 3+3, you would have, like in the Senate, the Senate pro tem is non-voting except in a tie. You could have a chair that's non-voting except in a tie.
Exactly.
And that would end that.
Exactly.
But maybe you don't start out small. Let's just see how it all works together. And the taxes shouldn't go up. It should be the same amount of effort, same amount of work, and same amount of taxes. So
should.
that sounds strange.
It's strange. Although if you look at the configuration of the towns, the town is over there, the village is over here, and you really do need 2 fire stations for the
Right,
proximity
yeah.
of any
Good,
particular fire. The police station is already shared.
Yeah.
There are 2 libraries. That's up to individuals that use the libraries more. But what's the other?
The
Oh, the pools.
administration, I would think.
The administration, that would be the one thing perhaps
Yeah.
that should merge.
But you could take it for a little while and just see where there's areas of merging, and because I was in the legislature a bazillion years ago, and you guys came into my committee, into GovOps, and it was very tense. So I'm sort of glad that it's on the ballot now. We'll just
Yes.
decide yes or no.
Yes.
But who has the most money? The town has the debt?
No, the village.
The village, because it might be that could be where the tax is, because everybody's going to share in taking away the debt. It's like Act 46. We shared everybody's debt in our little group. One of the towns had a big debt, and we all got to share it. And one of the towns had a surplus, and we all got to share that, which I thought was just, oh my God.
Oh, terrific.
Oh, yeah. Oh, if I lived in Calais, I'd be really thrilled with this whole thing. I want to give you a chance to talk. Well, speaking of the police, with all this call for defunding the police, what do you think about that? Because...
Well, it's not fair. First of all, it's not right. Excuse my blunt opinion.
No, that's quite all right.
I believe that the people that are largely wanting to defund the police are so misled.
Right.
You know, we need our police. Who's going to answer your door when you have an emergency? You know, I remember once, I confess, I accidentally dialed 911 when I meant to dial 411.
Oh, excellent. And here they come.
And here, the policeman was at my door within moments.
Right.
You know, and you picture a battered abuse situation. You picture a person having a heart attack.
Right.
Although they send ambulances for that. But there are so many emergencies that we need our police for. And they're not that well paid, considering that many times they have to take their lives in their hands.
Right, exactly. They put their lives at risk for us.
At risk.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you for the risk.
No,
yeah, that's the right word.
Because we were actually talking before. This is 9/11, September 11, and the vision of everybody running away from the towers, and who's running towards them? The police, the ambulance, emergency management. And fire, they're all running towards the building, and the rest of us are, not me, but the rest of us were
running away. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. We need the police. Yeah. And I'm hearing a lot about the hardships now that police are going through because of what's being demanded of them. Right. Their ability to govern is being removed from them, not govern, but to do their job is being removed from them. And it's just not a good situation. No. My bottom line is that we need our police.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're running out of time, and I would like to give you just a few minutes to talk about why they should vote for you.
Well, I would love people to vote for me because I am very concerned. You know, I could enjoy my retirement, but I want to work hard for my voters. Right. I want to bring common sense back to the State House. I want to work in teamwork, towards balancing or helping the budget so that we can stay afloat. I want to work for children and families, for business improvement. And I have a lot of common sense, and I would like to use that common sense towards bettering the votes that we've had in the past.
That's great. I really appreciate your visiting us, Maryse. And just we'll have this video out fairly soon, and I hope that you're watching it. And we'll see you next week. And in the meantime, keep listening beyond the soundbites.